Welcome
All
to the
right.
first ever Bleeding Sun podcast. Um, yeah, I'm super excited to be doing this because we've been talking about doing it for a long, long time. And yeah, it's just great to be getting out here and doing it finally. For those of you who's your first time like introduced to the band or whatever, or you're just going back and listening to this after the fact, I figured we do a whole podcast about like just who we are and kind of how our music background individually, how the band came to be, and all that stuff. Um, so yeah, Brett, do you want to kick it off with who you are?
Yeah, I'm Brett, by the way. No. Uh yeah, this is
Yes.
I'm excited to I'm excited to do this, guys. Name's Brett Dallman. I'm the one in Kansas, which is the middle of nowhere for most of you folks. Don't give me the joke about we're not in Kansas anymore because I'm sick of hearing that. But I've been in the music scene for uh basically 20 years plus now, I would say. Um, Took some breaks in there a little bit, but started out playing guitar when I was in middle school. Um, the bands at that time growing up that really got me into playing heavier music and guitars was obviously Sevendust. That's one of them. Deftones was a huge band that I followed back then. I don't listen to them as much anymore, but I still dig it. I was a big Tool head. I've always liked Tool. I think that kind of shows in some of my guitar playing. I'm a big Adam Jones fan. But played in a bunch of bands in high school. I was in a high school band, played trumpet.
Woo.
Ken did as well.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Jazz. I was in jazz band, marching band, orchestra band. Yeah, did trumpet there. Started getting involved in drums mainly because no one else knew how to play the drum set, and all my other friends wanted to play guitar. So I'm like, well, we need a drummer. So I started playing drums too in high school, and so
He's very good too.
yeah,
I've seen footage of him playing. He's
I'm,
very good.
I'm rusty. I'm rusty now. But so yeah, I played drums in some bands, played guitar. Worked in a studio in Topeka, Kansas, just out of high school for a little bit. Did session work. I'd go in and local bands would have a song, need some extra guitar parts or ideas or melodies or whatever, and I go in there and track some stuff for them. Worked with the producer Paul Schneider at Topeka, a good friend of mine. Taught me a lot about producing, a lot about Pro Tools. That's why I use Pro Tools because I'm just kind of used to that. And yeah, that's what got me into it, and then just kind of snowballed into where I'm at now. Did some recording work in Nashville with Brett Hessla from Dark New Day with a band I was in a few years back. Um, and then went through a couple other bands and finally ended up here with the Bleeding Sun guys. And this was all, for those of you guys that don't know, this is all driven through Clint Lowry's Patreon page. It's how we all met. So um, it's hard to find people that want to write similarly these days, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere like I am in Kansas. There's really, we could play Leonard Skinner, and country songs, and that's about it. No offense to that,
Freebird.
but not really. I'm not interested in writing that kind of stuff. So, really fortunate to meet you guys. You know, on Clint's page, and I think we've really, you know, turned into a bunch of brothers here basically, and we just write and have fun. So
It's cool.
that's a quick snippet of my backstory.
Yeah.
For sure,
Yeah,
man.
I don't know if you want me to go anything else, but that's what I got. So
Um, I have a very similar background with Brett, specifically the high school band stuff. Played trumpet. I was obsessed with trumpet. Anybody that knows me knows, I always play the high notes, like in any band that we were in. It was fun. I really got to learn about, melody and harmonies through playing trumpet. Um, but really, since I was like 8, I wanted to play drums. There was just something about the drum kit that like drew me in. My One of my uncles at the time had like a big drum set, and I was like, I want to do that. Like it was just I sat behind it and I was like, this is cool. And then Metallica's Black Album came out, and you heard those drum tones, and it was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was only 3 when that came out, but later on when I actually heard it,
It wasn't the
I was
Saint Anger. Saint Anger didn't do it for you.
Man, I used to jam Saint Anger. It sucked, but I jammed guitar. It was just fun.
Dude, I bought that CD the day it dropped at Kmart. I went to Kmart. I bought the deluxe thing. It had the they jammed the whole album on the second disc, which actually sounded better than the actual recordings, which was funny. But that was a cool record. It still gets a lot of shit for it, but
It's got some cool songs, but the snare is not it.
Yeah, they were trying to be innovative, and it just didn't work. Like nobody can use that snare.
New Metal
ever.
Metallica.
No.
We're trying to do. I don't know what
Yeah.
that was about.
Yeah, well, that was like 03, I think, when it came out.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
just like it was just not. It didn't fly. But
Yeah.
So I did the trumpet thing, and then drums was my first real love, and I never took any lessons. Don't know how to read rhythm music. I learned by ear. Like, where are you going?
He's going to get his pizza. Just keep talking.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I was in a couple bands, with my buddy and my buddy Mike. Shout out to Mike, and my buddy Jeff, if they're watching. I was in 2 original bands, a couple cover bands, and just again, I wasn't like active a lot. I was playing, here and there. So, but other than that, here I am, and I'll wait for Gabriel to get back of how we actually started. So
what was the band? Was it Metallica then that got you going? Really, that Black Album?
Dude, it just my dad had it on a mixtape, and
really?
Yeah, and what drew me in wasn't the music. It was the production.
Yeah.
It was just so massive, and you can hear every drum and cymbal, and just I learned how to play air drum to that without having a drum kit. So then by the time it's junior high hit, I actually in the junior high band, one day after school, I snuck in there. And my mom was there, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm just playing drums." She's like, "You're actually not bad." And I'm like, "Yeah, can I get a drum kit?" And I didn't get one until senior year of high school.
Yeah.
I was sick when I got sick. That was I ended up getting a Tama Star Classic Performer.
Heck yeah.
Dark cherry red. Yeah.
My first.
I
Pulse.
regret not taking
drum
good care
kit.
of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have pieces of it, but I had to. I don't know where the bass drum shell is. I kind of took it apart because it needed to be fixed, all the hardware and the lug nuts and stuff. And I think half of it's here, half of it's at my parents'. So I gotta see if I could salvage that, because I played with it live and it sounded so good.
Yeah, they're good.
So,
that's for sure.
Yeah. But Gabriel was gonna go into how we actually met.
Yeah.
So again, we're part of Clint's Patreon, and with that comes access to a Discord chat where he's we talk to him every day. And there's all these little different threads and stuff you can with different topics, and I have to say we're all pretty dang we put everything that we post in the correct thread. There's not any sort of
yeah, for the most part.
You know what I mean? And I think that's, I don't know. I have OCD with that, where it's it's so hard to go on a lot of these Discord chats, and there's just live announcements, all this other it's hard to keep track of. But so there's a thread, the musical idea demo thread, and I kind of taught myself the cheap way of tracking drums on the electric kit, and I use Get Good Drums and all them samples and stuff. And I just threw out a drum track one day, and Brett messaged me, and he's like, "Hey, can I play around with it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Like it was like what half a song.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
just a riff, intro, verse, chorus, same old thing.
Part of Suffocated.
Suffocating, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he sent it back to me, and I was like, "Whoa!" He's made it sound like massive. And then Brett got Gabriel in the mix, and he ripped the fucking killer solo, and I was like, "All right, let's snowball this, and if you can do that in like a day, you could send me a track back." And I'm like blown away. I'm like, "All right, well, let's see what else we can do." And from there, we just all started talking, and then we're like, "Hey, do you want to let's start this project?" And then a year later, here we are, and look how much we've done so far. So it's pretty cool that we utilize social media as it was intended for.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Right.
such a
And not the cesspool that it is now, and you had to try and find your way, and now it's like, no,
it's such a quick process.
take a little bit
too.
of trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the rapidity at which the whole thing came together was just like blew me away. Because I mean, it was like we had Suffocated, like I would say like within a week of us getting in the group chat, we had like Karma as well.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
there's
we
a
just
couple.
started throwing.
Yeah, and then I mean, after a month, we had I don't know, probably a dozen, maybe more, up there. And by the time that it was I think 4 months in from when we started talking to each other to when we decided to do the Kansas trip. I flew into Kansas after a couple detours, and then Ken drove from Chicago to Kansas, and we recorded. I think I was about 4 months in. By then, we had like 40 demos at various different stages, but all like complete structures like done. I mean, it was so. There's a lot of
I
good.
had random drum beats, but
Yeah, and then well, that's how Vintage Hammer started. I mean, you just threw a random drum beat out there, and then Brett or I threw down something, and then it was like Kim was like, "That's shit, man," and then Brett threw down his thing, which became Vintage Hammer, and it was super cool.
it wasn't shit. It was a totally different vibe of. Originally, that's yeah.
Kim was like,
I was gonna,
throw me this like heavy like super chuggy thing, and I go in like with some like melodic like chorus or whatever, and it was terrible. That idea is still around, and it's a good idea. I threw a different drum beat behind it, but
oh yeah.
I don't know if I've heard that. Did I hear that?
Maybe
I'll have to.
because I think you and I threw our ideas up at the same time, which then led me to very swiftly deleting mine from the drive. So
my idea was
chugs, all of them.
Yeah,
all the chugs.
My original idea was to do like a Gojira type thing because I wanted to go something out of my element, and then like just Brett had that nasty like main riff, and I was just like, oh god, we have to use it.
It's such a weird riff too because of how chromatic it is. I mean, you basically hit almost every fret from like 6 down.
It's a walk down.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, it's not. Well, the thing is, it's not a straight walk down, which what makes it cool. If it was just a straight rock down, it'd be kind of boring. But it like goes up and then down.
It's that bend.
Oh yeah,
well, that's more type thing. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I don't.
That was cool.
Yeah, I don't get too. I'm not much. I get scales. I understand the basic idea, but I just write whatever sounds good. That's how I do it.
The way I am is like in the moment I can't think about it. Like if you give me a piece of music, like I'll write a solo or whatever, and then after I write the solo, I'll be able to tell you like, hey, that's Phrygian or minor or whatever. But while I'm writing that, I just pluck around and find shit, and then maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I mean, that's how I write.
It's the best way.
That's how I write the solos. Is usually it's probably about like 10 takes. I mean, this is how I did Suffocated. As I start off with one take, and I'm just improvising straight, and then I'll find one thing that is like, okay, I like that. And the one thing that I liked from that was the intro, the very fast like alternate picking from the 24th fret down, that little run. I was like, okay, that's something to run with. let me take a second pass, start that, and then do that. And it's just basically, I just take it chunk by chunk, and some chunks will go here and we'll move. And then eventually I come up with something that's at least somewhat coherent, hopefully.
Right. Solo is like writing a song in itself, you know?
It really is. I mean, it's like constructing like a chorus melody or something like that, because you're trying to hit those melodic pieces. Like, I mean, I didn't want to just go through the suffocated solo and just like be ripping, legato or alternate picking the entire time. So I slow it down, hit the chords, make sure I outline that, but add some slight differences so it's not like just the same as like a chorus melody, because that's boring.
Yeah, a solo is essentially a song within a song. So I thought it was perfect. Right off, like the first track that he sent me with you on it, I was like,
well, that first track, it's the same solo that ended up on the song. Like I said, I do like 10 takes on my part, but y'all don't hear that. Y'all just hear the perfected thing perfected thing.
I think we're all like that. We're all doing, at least several takes of something just to get it honed in, and then we'll send it out.
Well, and that song needed that solo too. It needed it because it was very, I don't want to say stock, but it was, it was kind of
it needed that like boom.
Yeah, it needed to be like, oh, this is not like Chevelle or something. Where, no offense to Chevelle, I think Chevelle's great. I have to be in the mood for it.
Yeah,
they don't have that explosiveness. Really.
Well, yeah. When Brett first sent me that demo, I mean, I literally listened to it, and I mean, you've got that drop, like the snare hits, blah. I'm like, oh shit, we got to go into something cool here, and then the rest is kind of came out. But no, actually, through this whole process, I like the way that I've tracked demos has changed so much, because when I first started off, which is probably part of the reason why most of the stuff that we're putting out is like not my stuff. Like most of it, like it's Brett's original idea, and then like we just kind of color on top of it. Is because most of the time I would just throw up a demo that was like just my guitar, maybe I'd throw some bass on there or something, and that would kind of be it. But then I heard Brett, and it's like Brett just sends in these demos that's got full-on programmed drums with fills and everything, and then like 80 synth layers, 90 guitars, and I was like, shit, I gotta step up my game.
It makes it easier to write, though. It makes it easier to kind of...
totally. I mean, you can even tell that in the difference, like between the stuff that we're working on now for the next record, which I know for audience might seem a bit odd mentioning that, considering we haven't put the first one out yet. But timelines are kind of weird in the new music age, with all the single releases and whatnot. But yeah, even with that, I mean, it's a world of difference. I feel like everything that we're coming in with the next one is a lot more complete. Now, granted, that may also, we had quite a bit left over from the quote unquote first record sessions or whatever. It was just simply when we were recording drums, I mean, we only had time to track 9. Now a 10th,
which we weren't expecting even to do that. It was supposed to be like 3, and I ended up like making up for the lost time that we. Yeah. Like we can go into that.
Yeah. Well, do you guys want to go ahead and talk about the recording week? Because I feel like that's something.
I want to know your music background, dude. Like,
nobody cares about that.
Oh, well, you don't.
I'm kidding.
This is seriously, dude. I don't know. You didn't really. I never would like ask you.
And all right, we can go into it. So,
had a good idea.
Because I know you know your music theory. I can hear it.
Kind of. I lazily know my music theory. I was definitely taught and had a really, really good teacher that I was with for, I don't know, maybe a decade. Maybe a little less than that. I don't know. But yeah, he was fantastic. And has a great band too. It's a shame that they never took off. But yeah, so I guess to take it back to the very beginning, I started playing piano when I was 5. And I started playing guitar when I was 6. So at this point, I'm now almost 20. So I've almost been playing for like 14 years, which is wild. I do not remember a time where I didn't play guitar. Like that's like
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
that's before my memory. Other than I did take a hiatus for a couple months, but we can go into that later. But yeah, so I started off with that. I stuck with piano for about 3 years into that and ended up dropping that, which I kind of regret because I really do. That's something that I would like to pick back up at some point, just when I have more time, which I don't know when that will ever be. But I mean, it's just cool, and I think it gives a good, really nice foundation for songwriting having that. But and I definitely am very thankful for having learned that first and kind of getting the chords and kind of, getting a base for theory with that. But yeah, then I just kind of started studying for the next, how many ever years and just kind of evolving over time. As far as influences, Alter Bridge, Mark Tremonti obviously has got to be number one for me. And then in the more recent years, I would say my bigger influences, especially songwriting, has been Sevendust, the various side projects they have. Obviously, Alter Bridge's side projects, Miles and Mark and all their stuff. And then a lot of Deftones, too. I've been really getting into Deftones and really just love the simplicity that they bring to their music, but also just the atmosphere. I'm a big sucker for atmosphere. And if...
I have to study up on my Abe Cunningham. That guy, like...
One of my favorite drummers. Abe is
yeah, I really... Like, Deftones was always weird for me growing up. Like when they first came out, I think White Pony is when they were like really, really hot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I didn't follow them too close, but all my friends had the CDs, and I remember like listening. And I'm like, it's not resonating with me. And then like years later, one of their songs came out, like their newer stuff, and I'm like, who's this? And then someone said, oh, it's Deftones. I'm like, okay, I need to.
Yeah,
educate myself.
They're such a cool band, and like there are bands that definitely have like different eras. Like I mean, we talked about Metallica before. Is like they definitely have their like pre-load reload era. They've got that era, and then they got the post Saint Anger stuff, and you can definitely hear that. But I feel like Deftones is another one of those bands that has like really distinct eras. Like the earlier stuff when Steph was still using 6 and 7 strings, and before Chi unfortunately passed away.
Yeah, Chi made a big difference.
Yeah, he like top 3 bass player for me. I love.
Oh, he's amazing.
Love the work that he does, and just sometimes just some of the really just bizarre stuff, like on Change and the House of Flies, and what's that other one? Cherry Waves.
Yeah.
If you are a bass player, guitar player, musician, whatever, and you haven't listened to those songs, go listen to them and listen to the bass parts, because they're so out of left field for what you'd expect from a rock or metal band, but they are so just on point.
We used to scare everyone locally, my band back in the day, because we'd play like Bloody Cape, and like
I love that song, man.
My Own Summer. I mean, it was so out of left field for around here, so it was, big time.
I think that's the only song I've ever played.
But My Own Summer?
My Own Summer. Yeah, because I
mean, super simple.
But like, I did that like last year or the year before at a show.
Yeah. And
I did the shot it, like while I was playing it. Dude, it like when you're playing it too, it's like it's a banging song.
Yeah.
Like,
that's some of my favorite like driving music. Is like the second Around the Fur record.
Around the Fur record's awesome.
So
Digital Bath too is a good song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I do like some of their
his lyrics,
like more popular.
The White Pony record is fantastic. It's their number one for a reason. It's not personally my favorite. I don't think. I think Koi no Yakin's probably my favorite. The synth work, underrated part. Frank Delgado, very underrated piece of Deftones. Like the amount of that's where their atmosphere comes from, and I think why they really took off with White Pony, because that was his first record with them. So, but yeah. Anyway, back to after. If you can't tell, we're very tangential speakers, so we just kind of go off on things. But
no, that's just me. It's me.
That's me too, dude. If you get me talking at length about things, I'll talk about.
Hey, this is what we're here for. We're chopping it up. It's gonna be choppy.
That's what podcasts are for. We're just hanging.
El Chapo.
I don't know about that one, but
Yeah, well,
so
I said El Chapi.
anyway, so just I mean, kind of over the years, just kind of progressed, and then eventually I went.
Did you do band in school, in high school or anything?
So yeah, I'm getting into that. So eventually I kind of
Okay.
progressed into the need to want to play with like other people and not just like go and learn riffs with my guitar teacher. So I joined School of Rock, um, which is like a national program. They got a bunch of different schools.
Why didn't I know that?
Or whatever.
Jack Black?
I try not to look too much back on those years. They serve their purpose, but a lot of, if y'all are familiar with like Little League baseball with all the parents like wanting playtime for their kids and whatnot, it's like that but for music. So anyway, I did that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I did that for about like 4 or 5 years before I finally got fed up with it, and left and did my own thing.
I'm sick of this crap.
Yeah.
Fed up with it.
Yeah.
Are you rushing or are you dragging? Whiplash, dude. That's a great movie.
I love. Yeah, that's one of the better music movies. Definitely probably the best recent music movie, I'd say.
Yeah.
I can't think of any in the past like decade or whatever that have come close.
Mr. Holland's Opus. That's pretty dope too.
What?
With
That's a classic.
Is it Richard Dreyfuss?
Richard, I
right?
think. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
It's like an early '90s movie about a band director, like his career, and like they give him like a big send off and stuff. It was really cool because like my high school band director, Mr. P. I still talk to him a little bit. Like I keep in touch with him, and like that guy was a straight shooter. Always didn't get in your business a lot, but like he had expectations for you, and he gave me so many good recommendations for like district band festivals and stuff. He got me to play lead with like the whole region of some Southwest band thing. I don't know. But I remember showing up going, oh, these kids are good, and it was a humbling experience. But anyway, that's what that's about.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I did that and then eventually just branched out to my own band. So kind of started running the local circuit around Richmond and met some really cool people there, taught me a lot, and also taught me a lot about the ugly side of the business.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of backstabbing and a lot of interesting characters that you got to deal with. But yeah, it was definitely a teaching experience for me, and I definitely wouldn't trade it for anything. And eventually, I got really fed up with dealing with people and just kind of, I mean, at some point, it got to be I was in the band, and I mean, I'm of the mindset you don't go out until your set list is perfected. So I wanted to practice week in, week out, and I wanted to get things dialed in. And by the time I would do that, somebody would leave, and then we'd have to start from scratch. And that just kept happening over and over again. It was also a really weird dynamic because here I am, a 15, 16-year-old. I'm the one who's leading the band and the one who's kind of calling the shots and the one who wants to work the most. So it's just really, really weird dynamic to get through. Like I said, I definitely learned a lot from it, but I ended up stepping away from music for about 10 months. And before I stepped away, I had an offer to do some recording with a producer, which I turned down and then kind of stepped away. When I came back, though, that was the first thing I did. Picked up the phone and got on that. So then I started my own band with the intention of recording music and doing original stuff rather than trying to run the cover circuit where you're playing Free Bird and Stairway to Heaven and all that junk every single weekend.
I have so many friends that's their job every weekend that play like hair metal and I'm not knocking that because they're doing well for themselves, but yeah, it can get a little
monotonous.
Now what? Yeah.
So yeah.
Good cash grab.
Yeah. Well, not around here.
Around here.
I was gonna say bars do not pay for shit.
I have to say, the tribute bands, like, there's a lot more. I've been talking to Kyle. He's on
Yeah.
the Discord with us, and he's releasing a Breaking Benjamin tribute band. He's got a Korn,
Yeah.
like a Midwest Korn tribute band. Then he's got Slipknot too.
Yeah.
He's in all them bands, and these harder bands are like heavier bands are starting to come out like tribute bands now, which is kind of nice to see. And I'm trying to kind of put my foot in the door and see if I could start like a Sevendust tribute thing because, like, you know what I mean? So like just for like extra money and trying to keep my limbs active, So yeah, but again, like you guys just said, your areas it seems to be a lot different, but yeah, we have a lot in the Chicagoland. There's like a ton of.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you're by a major city, and both me and Brett are out in bumfuck nowhere.
And I don't ever want to go over there anymore. I wanted to start something around here, but my area is kind of like where Brett is. I'm like on the outskirts of Chicago. Like I'm away. I'm like I grew up near the city. It's a tough city, and I'll always appreciate it. But right now, I'm like I can't.
It's an interesting place. But so then I went in to record that. So we ended up having the producer move in with us, which was only supposed to be for a couple weeks, and then we were gonna go record or whatever. COVID hit during that time, so he was like a permanent fixture of the household for like 3 months, and I was doing online school at this point, which is a joke. So it was like just day in and day out, we were just writing. And I mean, that's where a lot of the demos that we were able to put up on the drive or whatever for that, or at least my contributions, came from. And we just wrote a lot of stuff, ended up recording 3 songs and putting them out, which if you guys cared enough to dig into my history, I'm sure people could find that out there. The band is no longer active, not to say it won't ever happen again, but it's another deal of just like people, I wouldn't say aren't committed enough. I mean, the guy that I was working with on it, I was a super cool dude, would totally work with him again, but he's just, he makes his living as a musician, really, and just it again, with places not paying much, so he's just kind of working around the clock, so it's always difficult to do that. And also, I mean, the difference between that project and this project, which is the key difference, is this project we're all about recording, just putting the music out. That we were trying to record, and I was also trying to have the live local component, which was the hang up, because that basically, narrows me down to like 6 zip codes that I can pick people from to play with, and it was difficult finding that. And then also, the component of me, splitting time, because like 3/4 of the year I'm here at school, and then the other quarter of the year I'm back home, or at least at the time that's how it was. So yeah, it was just a lot to juggle. And then obviously I joined Clint's Discord and popped into this, and I mean, this definitely suits my my current place in life a lot better, being able to do this. And it's just more enjoyable just being able to spend the time doing this rather than having to worry of, obviously there's still like managerial headaches of social media and whatnot, but it's at least a little more straightforward. It removes the frustration of the human element that managing bands can add.
What's great about working with you guys is the magic. Like, we're all willing to share and post stuff and put stuff out there. There's a lot of bands I've been over the years that no one else wanted to do any of that stuff at all. They just wanted to play live and do shows, which is fine. That's fine. But if you want to grow an audience, online is where you do it nowadays. You got to be sharing and talking to people and going out and finding places to send your stuff to. So I appreciate what you guys do as well as far as the social media aspect of it. I think that's we all work together really well on that, and we're all open about that and communicating.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this is genuinely like the first band that I've been in that it's been like, not only does everybody have an equal say, but there's also equal contributions to back up that equal say. Because there are so many times back home I'd be in bands where it was like we want equal say, and then they're sitting back on the couch doing nothing.
Communication is, it's just has to be the most important,
For sure.
and I don't like leaving anybody in the dark, because I don't like being left in the dark.
No.
And in the past, I have with certain people, and it's just like you go through it so many times. They're just like, you know what, like, let me know when you want to actually do some, some work kind of thing. So it's like, I know I can't really do much as far as, more intricate stuff, because you guys know more than me, but I try and just make sure we're all on the same page still, and like, and you guys are my friends, so it's like, if I don't hear from you for a while, but hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, are you all right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah. No, and that's not to say that like everything here has been hunky dory or whatever. I mean, there's definitely been some growing pains and some things that we've had to
Pretty much
sift
it's
out.
been.
But there's been no like major like fights, no major disagreements or anything. Everything's very respectful. And when we have disagreements, we do bring them to the table and try and hash it out. Just by talking. And I think one of the key things is when we have issues like that, we hop on a phone call like this. We don't try and text it out,
Right.
because that's a great way to break up bands. I'll tell you, just try and text things out and have somebody misinterpret something.
Yeah, we're not pen pals.
No.
I don't.
I mean, we could be.
I don't want to.
Write you letters.
You gotta put them in the bottle, and then you gotta
The bottle.
Yeah, ship it like underground.
Wrong way though.
And I don't fucking
Yeah.
know.
No, I mean, you're exactly right with the communication's everything, and being able to compromise on stuff and hear everyone else's opinions out. I mean, my last band broke up because we couldn't decide on what we wanted to wear for band photos. So, I mean, that's how dramatic people that haven't been in the music industry before. That's how dramatic some of this can be. There can just be such tension with people for no reason at all. And I don't have that issue with the love it. So
yeah, a lot of times with the local bands, like you can walk into a room and you just tense up, like there's a lot of peacocking going on when it comes to that.
Yeah, if I walk into like a rehearsal and nobody's talking, they just look at you, I'll be like, right then and there, I'm like, what? Let's get it out in the open now. What's up? Because I was at the store today. Quick rant. I was at the store today, and it's like this dude just kept staring at me. Like, I'm waiting for Rach to grab something. I have the cart, and I hate the store. The older I get, the more claustrophobic I get, like, because it gets crazy at this grocery store. And this guy's just like standing there looking at me, and I finally am like, "Can I help you?" And he's like, "Huh? What?" And I'm like, "You need something?" It really, I don't know why it bothers me. It's kind of like, speak. Can I help you? I don't like when someone just sitting there like staring at you. It's just, I lose trust into people over that, and I don't know why. But yeah, I just, me.
I had one guy in a band one time absolutely lose his mind on me because I said, "Well, you just got to fake it till you make it." And he just lost his mind on me like a madman. And
You can't be saying
I'm
that,
like,
man.
"What's wrong?" I'm like, "What's wrong with that?" I mean, nobody knows what exactly we're doing in life. We're all just trying to figure it out. It's kind of what I was getting at. It's like, that's life. You just kind of, okay, let's figure this out. That's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah.
And it's a drama of some of these people.
Yeah. This is a very drama-less band.
Yes.
I don't stand for it, and I know you guys don't stand for it.
No.
That's good enough for me. So it's, if there's an issue, I'm usually like, okay, well, like early on with this whole thing, I never understood the algorithm stuff and the social media stuff, and frankly, after a few months, I was like, fuck this, because it just, I feel like, I mean, I've been on social media since it started, but like, for some reason, I was getting sick of it, and then you see all like the backdoor politics with the platforms, and then you're like, oh, we gotta, you know what I mean? It just became.
Yeah.
But then you guys kind of educated me more on it, and I wasn't being patient at first.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing to be on social media, but it's another thing to like be trying to utilize it for like a business and treat it
Yeah.
like that.
And then I didn't realize how much the music industry completely changed.
Yeah, I mean it runs on it nowadays. That's
Like I'm ready to hand out CDs off the street and go like, you know, back when we were kids, and then it's like, no, you don't do that anymore. It's like,
Wish it was there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's something that I think we'll talk about more next episode. Is probably the music industry and like how we are trying to fit into it and all that good stuff. Because I know that's something that we've wanted to talk about for a while. So, but yeah. Anyway, I think I kind of ran through my whole backstory. I don't think I missed too much. Yeah.
very interesting. There's some little tidbits I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know about all that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Good content for the podcast.
Yeah.
The Bloody Sun podcast. Here we go.
The hemoglobin solar panel loving podcast. Yeah, we got to come up with a name. So,
the Bleeding Sun podcast.
What's going on with? Yeah, but we're gonna have to write an intro.
BS podcast.
BS podcast.
There you go.
Take the B and the S from the logo, the Bleeding Sun logo, and there you have it.
It's all BS.
Well, we are kind
I
of
love
full
it.
of it. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. What else we got to talk about, guys?
Well, we were going to talk about before I went off on my whole thing, the recording week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Start that out.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't even know. I mean, it was just kind of like on a whim. Like, I mean, we didn't even plan it out too far in advance. It was like in December or something. We were like, let's just go.
I was on disability.
Yeah, because neither of y'all were in between jobs then, and I was like winding down from school for the semester, and yeah,
wasn't it not last minute, but I think it was like a month before.
We started planning out a month before, and I think I actually like booked my flight like 2 weeks before.
We were going to do summer when you were off from school, and then you were like, well, I have this month off, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do it now. I got the time.
Yeah.
So, because I knew I wasn't going to go back to work right away. And then, I drove to Brett's about 8 hours. And then we didn't even get settled in. We just started attempting to jam.
Well, yeah. So let's talk about the issues that we had very early on. Like starting off, it did not look like this thing was going to be successful, like in the slightest bit. So to start off, I was supposed to get there a day before Ken because I think the idea that Brett and I talked about is that we wanted to write some stuff and get some stuff organized before we got Ken in there to do drums and whatnot. Just some extra stuff that we wanted to finish off and actually have like person to person, rather. It was a great quote. I think it was from Miles Kennedy that, like, working like a couple years back on the AB stuff versus working now, it was like whatever you can do in 5 seconds in a room is 5 emails online. So anyway, that's a side tangent, but
I like that.
Yeah, I love that saying because I feel like a lot of people can, and obviously this band wouldn't exist without technology, but I think it can get lost sometimes that, like, this is great for situations like this where it's literally impossible for us to get together, but I mean, if you can, it's still better in person. But yeah, so I was supposed to get there a day early. So I think it was January 8th or whatever. So like the one time that we get snow here in Virginia was the day that I was leaving. And not only was it snow, it was like hail, like, icicle things. And
thunders.
So I was supposed to leave at like 6:37 or whatever, and we could have been off the ground way clear of it. Our pilot was late. So we sat on the tarmac for 30 minutes.
At the bar, probably.
Probably.
You work for Southwest?
No, I think it was Delta. But so it was like that.
You were dealt a bad hand.
Wow.
So Bleeding
Sorry,
Sun
did you hear
is Bleeding Sun is looking for a new drummer now, guys.
He was dealt a bad hand.
Cut.
It's not.
You're
Oh my
done,
God.
kid.
Cut it out.
But yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
So
I had to.
so then at that point it was like we attempted to take off 3 times. By the second one that we bailed on, I was like, this is it. I'm gonna die here on this tarmac trying to record a fucking album.
What a legendary story that would have been. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Not to mention physically meeting us for the first time, because
yeah.
you know, I'm sure that the thought crossed all of us, like, can we trust these people? You know, like, I'm not saying it in a bad way. It was a small thought, and I was like, no, I'm willing to take the risk. Like, these guys are cool. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I at least had the benefit of meeting Brett once before.
Oh yeah.
That is true. I kind of forgot. So we actually went to a Sevendust show because no band comes to Virginia or Richmond. So they come to Virginia, but it's normally like really north. But there was a weekend. It was Kansas City, and they had another show in Kansas.
It wasn't Kansas. Was it Wichita or was it Springfield, Missouri?
It was Missouri. Yeah.
Columbia, Missouri.
So yeah, it was in Missouri. So I went to those 2 shows because it was on the weekend. Little did I know at the time that Brett was there, and then
Right behind you in line.
yeah, literally right behind me in line. And we messaged on Discord like the day before. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be there. And both me and Brett are just sitting there like, is that him? Should I go?
Yeah.
Go
Well,
say
Brett,
hi?
Brett, you're tall like I am, so you were probably like,
Well, Chrissy's next to me, and I'm like, I think that's Gabriel in front of us.
Yeah.
She's like, the hell's Gabriel? I'm like,
I literally was doing the same thing to like because I was there with my parents. And I was like, I think that's Brett behind me. So it took me about 15 minutes. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go say hi. So then we talked for like 2 seconds, and then I think at that point they let us in, so we just kind of went our separate ways. And it wasn't until we got to the floor while we were waiting for the actual show, we got to talking a lot and really hit it off. And at that point, I think you'd already messaged me about getting on a track. So I just kind of like nudged you again. I was like, hey, whenever you want to send me that track, send it to me. So then I got that a couple days later, and then that's where Suffocated came from. Anyway,
So yeah,
back to
awesome.
back to a recording week. Yeah, so finally on the 4th takeoff, after like 3 hours of sitting on the tarmac, we finally got off the ground and on my way to my connection flight in Atlanta. And obviously by the time I got there, I missed my layover. So, and there was not another layover to Kansas City until the next day. So very nice of Delta to not even pay for our hotel that I had to get to stay overnight. Although there was one like Southwest flight that my mom tried to get me on. Like I was like texting her because they had like the free Wi-Fi or whatever. So I was like texting her, I was like, hey, I'm not gonna make it there. Like, so she tried to get me like some Southwest flight, and like I could not find the gate. So I'm sitting there with my guitar on my back, just running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to find this because it was like half an hour. So I had like half an hour to find this flight.
From Home Alone.
Yeah, I have like half an hour to find this flight. So I find somebody from Southwest to ask, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's over there." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Let me just walk over there." There's a fucking security desk. So at this point, I'm like tired. I had to get up at the crack of dawn. I didn't sleep any on the flight. So finally, I'm like, "Fuck this." So I go upstairs and eat at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
B-Dub.
Yeah, and then my mom sent me the hotel. I got the hotel. I kid you not, I literally crashed. I didn't even set an alarm or whatever, and I woke up. I'm like, I should probably get going here. So then it was very early the next morning. I finally got on the flight, so I ended up having to go back up to New York to LaGuardia.
Yeah.
And going to Kansas, which that was a massive clusterfuck.
So the funny part about that is we had that inside joke of you being stuck in Ukraine, and this was literally like a month before Ukraine got invaded from Russia. So when that happened, I was like, "Oh, did we predict it?"
Yeah. Yeah, so whenever our recording vlogs from the week go out, if you hear the Ukraine joke, that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
But yeah, so anyway, I finally make it there. I made it there like an hour before Ken did or something by the time we got back to the Brett's place. And
Yeah, we
Yep.
just about got at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
then, so after all of that, we get through the travel. So then we had to figure out how we were tracking drums. And Brett had the setup. You probably know more about it if you want to talk about it.
Yeah. So I was living in Lawrence, Kansas at the time, and I had all of my studio stuff in the bedroom upstairs of this place. And I knew that wasn't going to work for what we were needing to do. So I converted our entire 2-car garage into a recording studio like a day or two before you guys came.
The first Dark
And
Blanket studio.
yeah. Actually, I got these two behind me are from that still.
Hell
The
yeah.
shipping. Yeah. So covered everything in like shipping blankets. There was no heat out there. The garage door wasn't even insulated. Well, maybe kind of was.
It's January
but no
4th.
propane heaters and space heaters, and it was just chaos. We got the drum set up, so we had the computer out on a makeshift desk and the recording interface, and the drum set was just right behind us. I mean, it had some amps and stuff set up there, and so used my drum set, acoustic drum set, and our thought process was we'll just run set and do 2 live overhead mics for the cymbals because we wanted the actual natural cymbal sounds. So we were like, oh yeah, Ken's gonna bring down his module he's borrowed from my buddies. We're gonna be able to pipe the MIDI triggers through there into Pro Tools, and it should just be peachy. And it was a giant cluster, is what it was.
Yeah, the triggers that I brought. We pretty much learned that the triggers are good for like mesh heads.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's certain bands that can use the heavy duty triggers live, but
Yeah.
there's a lot. You get so much like rattling and feedback from that where it was
It was a nightmare trying to get that dialed in, and that's where towel tone.
like 2 days worth.
Yeah.
It was only a day, because
Like a day and a half, maybe.
Heck yeah.
I think we only spent like the first hour of the second day before we got that first suffocated track down.
We ran to Supersonic in Topeka.
Yeah, we
Oh,
ended up
yeah.
getting more triggers. We had to
It
get
was more,
those triggers.
and they
Yeah.
worked a little better. And then I was finally like, screw it, let's throw towels over the heads of the drums.
Yep,
So like the drums
Just the toms.
covered
Yeah.
in towels, and Ken's
Yeah.
like, this ain't gonna work.
It only worked on the kick drum and the snare without using a towel. So all the toms had to.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Yep.
So luckily, I didn't have a lot of tom fill stuff to do, and I was able to like have the snare and the kick, like I could actually feel it like playing on it because I was whacking it, and that trigger was good on that snare, and then everything else. Yeah, we had towels on. It was a little awkward, but
That and
we made it work,
and
dude.
also the module the Lesis module you had, there was no save button on it anywhere. So
Yep.
we had to run that thing like 24/7 and pray to God the power didn't go out. Otherwise, we'd have to start from scratch.
Funny thing was about that, when I unhooked it, it was literally not all the way in the whole time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we could have been mid. We could have like lost everything. I don't know if I told you guys that, but I remember like when I was packing my stuff up, I like grabbed it and it like easily came off. It like disconnected, and I was like,
Oh my god.
thank God.
Yeah, like that was literally, we were hanging on by a thread there.
None of us had ever used triggers before in
No.
a drum situation, so we learned a lot.
Yeah. But it really worked because we ended up getting, I think, a fantastic tone because the GGD stuff is really good, and that's what we use for all of our tones on the drums, and they work really good for drums. But there's something that is with their cymbals. It works great for demos, but it just in a real mix, it's just very sterile.
It disappeared.
So
Yeah.
being able to do the combo like that, getting the punch of the GGD kit, and then having like the really nice airiness to the the cymbals was nice, and for a garage, that it sounds pretty good.
Well, in those, like, I love those GGD packs, but they use minor cymbals a lot, which are
Yeah.
more dry and they have more like the
Okay.
project. They don't project a lot, but that's like the modern thing with cymbal work now. You don't hear anybody's like that shine of the cymbals like now. At least I don't. Everything's very compressed and it's like there's no projection in the cymbals. Everything's very tight, and so I'm glad that we figured out doing the hybrid style, like having overhead cymbals and then
Yeah.
using the samples, which honestly I recommend it. I know we were talking about next time recording just using, actual tones from the kit, but if we can work it where we don't have to put towels over the drums, I don't mind slapping them samples on, because it's
I
like,
want to use the Gojira samples next time if we do that.
yes.
I love those drum tones.
There's another brand, Drum Wow or something. I think I sent you a couple weeks ago. It has like a Deftones pack where it's not like exactly, but they mix it where it sounds like that. Yeah, but they'll get that Gojira one sounds.
Well, and
Cool.
I'll take it like with our stuff. We use the GGD metal pack, but I actually re-EQ'd everything, and actually did another band of compression through there, and
Yeah.
even some extra reverb here and there on some stuff. So it's not like it's like we're just taking it right out of the box and using it. We're trying to kind of make it our own a little bit too. So
Yeah.
I think it does sound like our own.
yeah,
Like you can kind of hear the GGD stuff, but like when you mix it and all that stuff, you're not. Again, yeah, like you said, it's not stock. It's you can hear a big difference.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that we did a really good job working with what we had there, and yeah, definitely doing the EQ stuff. It's the way to go. I even do that. Obviously, I don't do it for every demo, but a lot of the demos I end up throwing. Dude, Valhalla Vintage Verb, man, best reverb plugin out there. So I throw that on everything, and then I also ended up getting. I don't know if you have this, Brett, but the Smash and Grab compressor, drum compressor that GGD put out. It's really good. I don't know. I think they have a free trial for it. If they do, you should check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out for sure. Yeah, I mean that I use Valhalla Vintage Reverb on almost everything. It feels, not everything, but a lot of stuff. And then that Howard Benson vocal plugin.
Yeah.
I use that everywhere.
Yeah. For me, I use that in the Chris Lord Algae vocal. Use that.
Yep. I'll stack them sometimes
Yeah.
on screams, actually. And it really like.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It gets them to really bite, if you mix it right. But it's that's one thing that I try not to get too crazy with the mixes. I just try to. Over the years, I've learned that you got to get good sound coming in, and it makes your life a lot easier on the back end. So that's why I like the GGD drums is so nice, because it's a good sound out the box. So you're not fighting.
I remember when that metal kit came out, and I was like,
not bad.
I like how this sounds.
Man.
And it's a Vinnie Paul snare that they use on there.
Yeah, it's good tone.
So.
I like it. It fits it perfectly. But the recording process was awesome. We were up way too late every night.
Yeah, we would stay up till 4 and then get up at 10.
Yeah.
Go get some breakfast and hit it. And we'd record drums up until about 8, and then we'd start writing or doing various other things.
It was hard to stop, because we were all so into it, and we were
so into it, and also just knowing that we only had 4 days together, and we were kind of on the clock, and it's like after those 4 days, we didn't know when the next time it would be that we would get together. We didn't know. It could have been the summer, it could have been next winter, or it could have been longer, and it's ended up turning out to be longer.
Yeah.
And we did split up the time a lot, where it was like we did the drums early because we couldn't do it super late because of the neighbors and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was cool transitioning, like, all right, let's track guitars for this, or
we were really.
So it was kind of cool for me to sit there and like watch you guys, and then I'm hearing stuff in my head, and that whole process is so fun for me, because it's like it's such an outlet where we didn't look at the clock at all. It was just,
Yeah,
let's just,
it was
what
just
can we do next? What can we do next?
Flowing,
let's
yeah.
just go.
Yep.
And it was like, I mean, we were very efficient with time. Brett had to have been exhausted by the end of the day because, I mean, he was mixing and engineering literally all day because it's like, as soon as Ken would be done with drums and say, like, I need a break, man. I'm like, okay. I pick up the guitar and then we start tracking. It was, yeah, it was it is a great process, and I really, really look forward to whenever we get to do that again. Hopefully sometime soon, but obviously my situation as it is right now kind of prohibits that. But
Well, and hopefully, I mean, we know what we're doing now. We can streamline it. We can make it a lot more efficient. We can get things set up better.
and for folks worrying if that's going to hamper our ability to record music, I do not need to be in person for recording music. I have a whole remote setup, so there will still be music. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, that was a great experience, man. One of the best weeks I've ever had. It makes me think, what we could have done if we had 2 weeks or 3 weeks together. That's just.
And it's a damn shame that we can't. With
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We will, though.
At some point, yeah. It'll happen.
Yeah. It is hard. That's the downfall of, we're all in, how many hours away? I'm about 8 hours away from Brett. I'm probably 12 away from you.
I was gonna say I'm about
Gabriel,
14,
so
14 away from Brett.
Yeah. So we're literally like boom, 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 sort of on a map.
Well, you're a bit more north from, because I mean, if you're
So it's like
Trying there. Yeah. We're so far apart, but I feel like we've gotten so much done. I mean, compared to any of the other projects I've ever done, I've never had this much stuff put out, content put out, songs put out.
No.
And it be so smooth,
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the goal for us. I mean, we kind of says like we want this to be a machine. Like once we kick it in the high gear, we don't want to stop. And obviously we had a hiccup over the past couple months. I mean, life happens, but I mean, going into this year, we got a lot of stuff lined up. And
I mean, it's all about trial and error, and we kind of are building our own brand.
Yeah.
So you look back a year ago and you look at all our socials and stuff and see the numbers, and it's like some people it takes like well over a year to get those numbers.
I mean,
so
we're also super lucky to have a great support group around us.
Yeah.
Individually we've got our own people, but also just the Clint Lowry Patreon page. I mean, those guys have just really, really I feel like thoroughly enjoy the music, and also they do a lot to share and get other people on board, and I just feel super blessed to have them backing us.
Oh yeah.
It's like our own street team.
The Walkers. Yeah, that's home. That's home base.
Yeah, for sure.
I always try and that's where it started. So that's just the facts.
That is thanks to Clint for putting all that together, and he didn't even realize it when he was starting it.
No.
And we haven't had to rely on him personally.
Nope.
It's just been like we've been doing our own thing.
Yeah.
And but that's where we met. We met because of his community, so
yeah.
A little family.
For sure. But
what's going on the stream here? Is there any questions? How many people are watching?
We've had a steady 6. It's 5 to 6 the whole time. So
awesome.
People have been popping in chat.
We're almost to 500 views on YouTube for Tryptophan.
That's awesome, man.
500.
That's just on our own page, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Space.
I'm excited to see where it's Space and Travel.
Yeah.
For those of you who know what Space and Travel is, it's a YouTube page that they have built up this huge, I think it's 300 and some thousand subscribers on there. And any bands that have any kind of lyric video or video can submit the video to them, and they can, if it's good enough, they'll put it up on their YouTube page, and it just gets you a lot more traction because there's way more subscribers. And I think it's ultimately funneled more people into our
we've definitely seen some numbers off of those. But I think the really cool thing is the fact that our own videos usually have numbers that stack up pretty close to that. I mean, those are usually sit somewhere around like 8K, and ours are 5K.
Yeah.
So it's not
super happy.
Yeah.
One of them had almost 7,000 views, and it's cool to see and then you see people commenting, and we haven't gotten a negative comment.
No.
Well, how about one thing today?
I'm just saying it's.
Yeah, I mean they voted up number 1 on their top 10 list today.
Oh yeah, over in Australia.
That was cool.
Yeah, down in Australia.
And then,
I mean, that's what.
And then also and we talked about this before, but the one that really blew me away was Unsigned Showcase, man. Out of all the bands that he checks out, we were fucking band of the year.
Yeah.
Dude,
wild to me.
I'm still laughing. I love that guy.
Because, yeah, he is
such a sweetheart.
Everything that he says, he gets it. He understands what we want to do, and he gets it.
Right.
It's just funny because that channel is mostly geared towards metalcore and death metal bands, and he chose us as band of the year for the song "Hopeless," which was it was a ballad. Technically a ballad, and I can't help but think of these heavy bands just going what, and
I mean,
if he's watching this, I think it's thank you.
Yeah.
Immensely. But yeah, it's just funny to me to think about that because,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's cool being able to have that range too, of just being able to do the heavy stuff like Hammer, and then also have Hopeless that's more subdued. And honestly, it kind of shocked me because I didn't even realize it when we were recording or whatever, but when I went back and looked at the track list for the record, I mean, it's even split, really. I mean, we got 5 heavier ones, and we got 5 really light ones, and you guys haven't heard most of the light ones yet. I think Hopeless is the only one. So
yeah, the back half of all the releases are going to be a little lighter.
Yeah.
After there's another one coming that's a little bit chunky.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It ain't no slouch.
No.
That's what for me is sharing the music and seeing people's reaction and knowing that someone on the other side of the world is listening to it, and it's hopefully making a difference in their life, and they can connect to it somehow, and it's just the thing that it's being played in Australia, it's being played in South Africa. I know there's a place in South Africa that plays our stuff. It's being played in the UK, like Radio Wigwam over in the UK. They play us quite a bit. We even had a station down in there's some in Portugal and Brazil playing our stuff too. So
it's probably that titty bar with the touch tunes on it.
Probably. The one out there is it's a bar. They put our stuff on the jukebox. Yeah, awesome. It's and they put it on the playlist so it gets rotated when no one's paying. It just plays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, but I love it. Yeah,
we were talking about that Friday on our Instagram live stream. That was a fun time. That was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So,
who's your favorite band? Go.
Alter Bridge.
You go, Ken.
I mean, everybody that knows me, I've been listening to Sevendust since probably 2002, 2003. Mm-hmm. It was a Hairbangers Ball 2 CD. MTV came out with that.
Yep.
Separate was on there, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I already knew about them. I already knew about Sevendust, but I didn't really start listening to them until Seasons came out.
Yeah.
And then I went backwards, and then I heard Animosity 6 months later, and I was just like,
dude,
that's my album. And I will put that up against
Well, you were talking about
Anything.
Black earlier, having that sonic sound. For me, it was. Well, I mean, I tell a story a lot because it's kind of funny, but like I grew up out in the country on the edge of the Indian reservation out here in Kansas. Like we didn't have nothing. We didn't have internet or cable TV till I was 8th grade. You know what I mean? Like, so I grew up like listening to classic rock. Like my parents were into like Foreigner and Tom Petty and all these Ted Nugent
Boomer rock.
stuff. So and then I was, I mean, when I was in elementary school, I was listening to like Alan Jackson and stuff like that. It was, and then we got satellite TV, Dish TV for the first time ever, and I'm watching MTV too, I think. And this band comes on, and it's Praise. It's the music video Praise with Sevendust, and I'm like, what is this? My mind just was like, boo! Like I'd never seen anything like it before.
You remember when Comcast had their like music channels?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was like it would give a little bio and like, man, I miss that. We're so like far away from that now too.
So I went to the local Walmart, and sure enough, they had Animosity there for sale. And I bought Animosity, the album. And I remember I really liked the song Praise. Of course, that's kind of a good starter song, right? I mean, nothing too crazy. Yeah. I think I popped it in and started listening to Tits on a Boar, and I'm just like, this is weird. Like, it was just completely like too much for me. And I didn't listen. I didn't really listen to that album for like a year. And then I kind of started getting into playing guitar and stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, like this. Let me go back to this again, and listen to this.
I wasn't ready for that rawness either. It was like a raw underground edge that like, and we were growing up with it too. So it was like you're in middle school and high school, and all this shit's coming out, and you're like, it's like it's out of your comfort zone. But then it's like now you're
it's
like,
kind of.
But I wasn't really like, I was like, yeah, it's cool.
It's kind of funny how all three of us have had like similar experiences like that. Like I didn't get into Sevendust until like about 3 years ago, but my first exposure to them was when the streaming services first came out. So my family had just bought Apple Music, and when I first got it, I was into the whole recommendations thing. Now I just kind of use my own library, but I went through the recommendations. The first record that popped up, because it was about 2015. So at this point, this was their latest full record, Blackout the Sun, came up. And I was like, okay, I think I went for a walk to listen to it. I was big into walking and running at the time. And I went out to go listen to it, and it got through Faithless and Memory at start, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then what's the one that's at? Till Death came on afterwards. I got scared and I turned it off.
Like, oh my god, who's that man screaming at me?
Little did I know I'd like have like a personal relationship with him years later. But that was it's funny looking back on that. But actually, the first record that I got into from Sevendust, funnily enough, was the Time Travelers record. That was the most tame enough for me to listen to. I couldn't listen to the other stuff. I had to ease my way into that, and obviously that.
I just watched the making of that record.
Yeah,
it's on Vimeo. It's like an hour long. I was like, it was awesome.
Yeah, and it's like funny, looking back at that now, because I mean, like Sevendust is like fairly tame compared to some of the other stuff I listen to. Like Periphery or Sugar or Spirit Box or whatever. It's funny.
But back then, like in the early 2000s, they were kind of like the Periphery and like all that, like like Brett was saying, you heard certain songs and you were like, okay, like it didn't scare you, but you were just like, I'm not into it. But then you hear one of their other songs, and then it just hooks you in, and then you have to like go back and.
It just consumed me. I don't know why. It just always has. It's just, Animosity is my favorite album sonically. Amazing sounding album. Seasons, though, I don't like the production of that album per se on Seasons, but I absolutely love the songwriting on that album.
I really wish they would remix or remaster that, man, because that songwriting, it's just so good.
Oh,
I mean, the
vocal harmonies were
to every one of them songs. Just
the harmonies were so good, and I mean, it just had great rockers, but also great slow songs. Like I know Christmas Day and Angel Sun get the bulk of their like recognition for their slow songs, but Skeleton Song, man, that's such a I love that song.
Great song.
I love that and Disgrace as well. It's like those are such great things.
They should have done Disgrace acoustically on Time Travelers.
Yeah.
And they almost did. But like live when they had they're in Denver, I remember watching that. I was like, I was crying.
Yeah.
You know, like it just seeing them stripped down on that tour. I'm glad I got to see them. You can really hear LJ. You can really hear them stripped down.
Yeah.
And it's just, I was crying. I was just like, wow, like their voices blend so well together, and you know, props to their sound guy, but yeah, their acoustic stuff was
awesome
I'm
talent.
glad I got to see that.
Yeah. And then
I learned harmonies. I learned how to do vocal harmonies through them too. You know, like I was able to like learn how to that minor fifth stuff. It's like addicting.
yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, Sevendust for me. Alter Bridge, Gabriel. What about you, man?
Probably
you, Brett.
You know, I could say
Sevendust, yeah.
I could say Dark New Day, but they weren't around really long enough to really make a statement. But that 12 year,
And I remember that album came out. I was like,
that was my jam, man. Oh my god.
That's
when Brother Hate came out, I was like, this is Animosity Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good record. And they've also got on the latter two records, they've got some really cool tracks. I mean, they're left. I mean, I think it's all left over from 12 Year Silence.
Yeah, so they went a stint. There was like a couple years stint where the second album got Warner Brothers got locked up with them.
Several years, yeah.
Was it Hail Mary?
There's two of them.
I think it was Hail Mary. Because I think Hail Mary was the one that they were going to release, and then I don't remember the name of the other one. That was one that that was just a compilation of leftovers that they made.
I have demos, burnt CD demos of those records before they came out. I don't know how I got them.
I tell you,
I forgot where someone like it was on some Sevendust forum back in the day.
One of the coolest things I did though when I went down to, I spent basically a week with Brett at his studio and staying at his house, and was when I tracked drums for those songs we did down there. It was the same drum set they had used for 12 Year Silence. It was
Really?
It was that drum set. He still has it, and all the microphones are the same. They say Dark New Day like on them. Yeah, it was the coolest thing ever.
That's crazy.
Then Aaron playing. I remember we were playing "Follow the Sun Down" on acoustic guitar with Brett, and he was singing.
That's a really great song.
I was like, "Oh man, this is the coolest." I love that song, you know. But yeah, so much fun. Good dude, man. Great guy. No, it's a blast. So yeah, probably Sevendust, but like I said, that Dark New Day album's amazing. So.
Right on. Yeah, well, like everything that we all listen to is
similar.
Yeah, for the most part, it's all in the same wheelhouse. But it's nice. It's like we all listen to the same things, but like we have different areas of focus. I feel like, so it's we still bring different influences, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, several people have commented like, "You guys like influenced by Alice in Chains and Tool and stuff like that?" I'm like, I mean. Yeah, I am, but I don't think about that when I'm writing the music.
No.
You know? But
I definitely I do a fun like thought experiment after I write stuff, and it's like I go back and listen to it's like, okay, where's that riff from? And usually it's funny, I can like dissect a song and like find like 6 different artists like I ripped that riff off from those guys, that vocal hook's from there, you know. It's funny.
Yeah, but even a lot of bands now are kind of you hear certain like chugging riffs and then the big choruses, and you're kind of like, oh,
we only chug.
So and so did that like 5 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
No disrespect to that, but it's not memorable. It's you know how many songs sound like Black, you know? So, but you're always gonna have a run into accidentally not stealing a riff, but using the same chord progression and all that, but production matters. You know, that's where you separate each other and make it your own thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could play the same notes. Brett could play the same notes, but he can make it sound completely fucking different each one. And can make you feel a certain way with each version too. So
The beauty of art, beauty
Yeah.
of songwriting, right?
exactly, got to paint a picture.
Yep. Paint the picture for sure.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm excited about Tryptophan being released.
Yeah.
So many good reviews so far on that.
Is anybody chatting?
It's been a little quiet here for a little bit.
Asking.
Yeah.
You guys,
I gotta share this. This is funny. Yesterday, we're at our nephew's birthday party, and Rachel's brother was asking me about the music video.
yeah.
He goes, so does the kid kill himself, or did the doctor kill him? And I'm like, what?
Maybe I should explain the story of that. I thought it was pretty obvious.
Yeah. So I was just telling him the whole gist of, like, yeah.
Where is that coming from?
Wait, what?
Oh.
What happened?
I don't know. I just heard my laugh.
Yeah,
back.
so it was, I couldn't help but laugh, but he wanted to know, like, there was supposed to be an ending of the story, and I'm like, well, it's technically it's kind of up to you to interpret, but yeah, it was just it was funny. He was like, did the kid? Who killed the kid? Kind of thing. So,
He escaped. He got out of his. Yeah, anyways.
Who killed the kid?
Yeah, so
we killed the kid.
We killed him. We said, we're done with you. We're done with you.
Yeah.
Right now.
So it was just funny as like an outside perspective, but like he wasn't trying to be like insensitive or anything. It was,
Man,
he's genuinely curious. I'm like,
that would be such a funny title for the podcast if it didn't like get us kicked off of YouTube.
Well, we killed the
Yeah,
kid.
who killed the kid?
We killed the kid.
he is the new bleeding sun. SON.
Bleeding out right now. That's for damn sure. Oh my god. Anyways, but no, I thought that music video is awesome.
That was
I
awesome.
think Spencer did a great job with that.
And
It's so killer.
Yeah.
It's such a killer, trippy video.
It's been such a great response. And it's cool. It's like I shared it on my personal socials, which usually I kind of try and keep the music separated from that. But I share this stuff out on there, and some of my friends came up to me today. I was like, "Wow, like your band's like legit." I was like, "Yeah."
Sure.
But yeah, no, that's cool. Well, we kind of covered everything on the who is Bleeding Sun question. I don't know if there's, we talked about recording week. I don't know if there's anything in the past year of note that we need to mention. We kind of touched on it all because it's all remote and just trying to navigate through that.
Don't ask us about playing live anytime soon.
Yeah.
We've been getting asked about that, and I understand. Just right now, we've only physically met with each other once, and that was over a year ago. So this is our time together mostly throughout the year, but it will happen. We just don't know when, and we're not in any like rush. We're just starting here, and then we're gonna see where it goes.
Yeah.
There's really we haven't really had any like long-term goals or anything like that. It's just been like, let's release some music and just want people not to like get noticed, but like just to be heard.
Yeah, I guess.
And to see if we can not beat the system, but like navigate through it without having to compete with people with this.
Yeah.
And like paying their way to play, and so.
Well, I guess
that'll be a different topic, kind of different.
Yeah, we'll talk about the industry next week. That will be our topic. I guess one last question that's kind of under the Who is Bleeding Sun umbrella is like, where does this go?
Wherever it takes us.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have Like I'm not saying that it's got to do this or it's a failure.
I think our mindset is that we take it as far as it will go.
As far as we can take it.
And
Yeah.
As far as immediate future, though, we just plan on cranking out music. We've got still stuff that is left over from that recording week. We've promised an album for this year. I think we will make good on that promise.
Yeah.
For sure.
That'll happen.
We've also got.
I'm gonna get some new gear,
hopefully
this year, so I can start. Like we can actually start.
Yeah, and
writing and demoing out stuff.
And at some point, I've already kind of started my process for the next record, but at some point here in the not too distant future, once we finally wrap the things on the first record, I think we're going to convene and try and put something together for a new record. We also have something coming out in between record cycles that I'm sure we can expand on more in the future. It's nothing too major, and I think most of what's going to be on there is probably already going to be out. But
yeah, most of it will be done for the
more detail. We do have some, or at least one original that's going on that thing.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, that's a good one that we all kind of always forget exists. But
yes,
and there are a couple other stuff that we might float, but I'm talking in abstracts here, so I don't like doing that.
We're just getting started, man.
Yeah. We are.
We got a lot. Choked on my water.
Not supposed to do that.
We got. Well, I have a little drink here. You think I choke on that? No, it's my water.
That's some brown water there, buddy.
Not
just a little whiskey. It's okay.
Down easy.
He's getting red. He's getting more red as the night goes on, I think, too.
Well, the door's shut and the vent's right here, and I got the heat on, so it is a little
bleeding
toasty.
Right here in front of us.
That's right. This is the influence for the band name.
Yeah, the band name. Where did that come from? Does anybody know?
Shit, you just like threw out a bunch of names, and we're like, Bleeding Sun sounds cool.
Yeah, I literally think it's as simple as that. I'm trying to. What were some of the other band names that we? The other like really big one that we were contemplating was it Arconic?
Arconic, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't know either. I think
probably because
it sounded too.
We both
sounded
like
too death metal-y. Say, Brett.
Because we both like PRS Archon amplifiers.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even know what other names got floated around. But yeah, we had a couple. I think those are the final two though.
And then we saw the logo, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's cool."
Well,
kind of gave me a Godsmack vibe with the sun, and then I'm like, "No, it ain't ripping it off at all."
Oh yeah, I didn't even. I mean, now that you mention it, yeah, but I didn't even think about that at first. We got the.
It's a cool logo. I like it.
I do too. I mean, it's got the blood dripping on it.
If you want to actually know what it's about, I guess. It's about the final battle of Armageddon at the end of the world.
I forgot that we had that whole
But
you know what? That was the selling point, I think.
Yeah. That there's
Unholy blood sun is what they say. So, end of the world crap. Great. We're living.
We're explaining it through our...
Yeah. Yeah.
Life sucks and then you die.
Yeah.
We really...
And somebody kills a kid.
Well, sure. That's kind of what happened, actually.
Yeah.
But it works.
I'm excited.
Maybe we'll have merch this year, too. Maybe when the album comes out.
I was going to bring that up, yeah.
Maybe. If there's enough demand for it.
There's been some askings of merch from people.
It's definitely something we want to do. It's just a cost-benefit analysis that we got to do on it. And it's
songs don't have a lot of fabric.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
do bleeding songs is what we could do.
And the... Especially now, it's getting harder to be able to buy.
What are you laughing at?
What are you cracking up about?
You waiting for me to rant about the economy and how much it sucks?
Yes, I could just see he's just waiting for it. It's the end of the world.
I've got my hand right here. It's on Ken's fader. I'm ready to take it down at any time.
No, man, it does suck. Living in Illinois is not easy. Like, I'm just letting everybody know. We're doing okay, but yeah, we have all these ideas, but like, God, everything is so expensive nowadays, dude. It's just
everywhere.
Yeah, it's difficult buying bulk T-shirts now, but we'll get something happening at some point, and maybe at some point we'll launch a store, and it'll be like a consistent thing where we keep doing limited runs and get designs, and it's all stuff we want to do in the future. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's just got to be right time and the right amount of demand.
And we're in no hurry. I mean, we're doing this because we want to do it and we love to do it, and we see this idea and we believe in it, and we're going to do it until we can't.
Yeah. As much as we enjoy and want to push the music and do the outside stuff. I mean, most importantly, the thing that we want to keep doing is the music. Obviously, we want to bring like merch and all that junk and supplemental stuff like this along with it. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that we want to get out is music, and that's what you got to build your foundation off of. So I think we're just trying to keep building our foundation out and get more and more music out for people to listen to.
And the fact that we don't want to push it too soon, too fast, and then we all resent each other for whatever reason, and then things get, you know what I mean? Like I never want that to happen. So
yeah, or we buy a full warehouse worth of CDs and then go into debt.
Well, I already did that, so I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm having 100,000 CDs printed tomorrow. Great, album's not even done. We're gonna do it.
We'll street team it. We'll just go, what's the next concert around here? I don't know. I'll just stand outside of the venue like, here, just buy my CD. Just have a little merch lemonade stand. Sir, you're going to have to leave.
Bleeding Sun Lemonade, it's red.
Do you have a permit? Yeah, it's right here.
Anyway.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, I think that about covers it all for the topic today. Bleeding Sun podcast, or the BS podcast, I guess is what we're
podcast.
As we're
what
calling
a mess.
it now.
No, I'm sorry I keep interrupting.
No, you're good, man. Bi-weekly, so we're not going to be back next Sunday, but the following Sunday we'll be here, same time, same place, in theory. But hey, if we change it, it's on you to figure it out, because you should be following us on socials. Yeah. So if you are, go do it. But as a
everybody right now, that's watching this, make sure that you go to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. This channel.
You're already on Twitch.
Twitter.
Twitch, bitch. Sorry, I wanted to do that. Oh God.
Okay.
But
hey, this might take off, and we'll do it like every week.
If it takes off, sure.
Yeah, if we can figure out the schedule for it, yeah. But as a final thing, for a closing thing that we're going to try and do every episode is our, I say song or album of the week every other week. But let's just go around. Ken, what's your song or album of the week?
I want to say Tryptophan, but that's way too biased. I've been listening to He Is Legend, the new He Is Legend album, the recent one. It's been out for a little bit. I don't know what is catching my ear on there, but it's my go-to lately. They were always kind of a quirky band, but Lifeless Lemonade, that song, the chorus of that is just got this, I don't know. I don't know if it's just mixed the way I like it to hear it, but it's a good song.
I need to go check that out. I've been meaning to for a while. But.
Yeah, dude, it's the chorus has got like a kind of a like it's the vocal melody is everything just checks the boxes.
Yeah.
So
cool.
That's what I've been kind of going to.
Brett, what do you got for your song/album of the week?
I'm just gonna go with Devil Leather.
Supporter boy.
That's probably his
it's been growing on me so much. I really love that song. It's an awesome song.
I think as a song and like his voice is definitely he's found his voice.
He's signed
like
Dark Blanket Records now, so.
well he's been swinging his notes. Like how he sings now, it's and I'm glad. Like it's nice to hear he's got like you can hear his personality in his voice.
Confidence growing there. No, it's a great song. Check it out. He's got an EP coming out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Love that song.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic song. And
what about you?
For my song of the week, I got album because I like both. Well, it's not a full album, but it's two of them thus far. The new Periphery, especially Wildfire. I did videos for both of them, and I try and keep things pretty level in the videos and keep my enthusiasm up for those. But I wasn't really digging it at first, like super a lot. Like obviously I really like pretty much all of what Periphery does, but I listened to that thing again because that chorus, it was weird at first, but it got stuck in my head. So I was like, I gotta go listen to that again. I listened to it, and man, it's just grooves.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out. I haven't checked that out yet. So.
I mean, it is
there's so much talent in that band.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That song's got a lot of groove and just a lot of like unbridled aggression, which I love.
They're so explosive. When you were just saying you weren't really into it at first, I kind of wasn't either. Like the riffage and everything is awesome. That chorus in one of them songs, I feel like they've been writing like super longer songs now.
Yeah,
like they've been doing a lot of movement type stuff, which is cool.
Well, yeah,
I gotta be in a mood for that. Like I need it to be 3.5, 4 minutes most of the time. But like Tremonti can get away with doing,
7 minutes.
Marching in Time. I thought that was a brilliant song. Like stuff like that where it's Periphery when they do like Reptile, that song Reptile, where it's like such a long song. It's like, oh, okay, like what else is next? You feel like you're listening to a whole album in one song, and it's like,
I don't know, man. I really love that. Honestly, like
I can tell you are very into the more.
I think it might be a symptom of the way that I listen to music because I don't go out and pick out individual songs. Like I do sometimes, but most of the time I listen to albums front to back anyway. So to me, it's no different. I'm just sitting there in one sitting listening to something and not getting up from that one kind of sound space, which I'm sure when I'm in the car with friends or whatever drives them insane because they're like, where's all the different artists? Why you listen to one artist, man?
That's how everybody is these days.
It's like, man, like, come on.
You like what you like.
Have an attention span for more than 5 seconds.
That's rare. That's rare these days, man.
Yeah.
I have to push myself for that. I have to.
But yeah, no, I do like that, and yeah, they definitely are moving to longer stuff because I checked out the track list for the new record, and it's like 9 songs, but it's an hour 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Gee.
I think there's like a 12-minute song on there. I mean, like in the 2 like lead off singles they put out were 7 and 6 minutes.
12-minute song. That's like an adventure right there.
Well, Reptile's 17.
Gosh.
Have you listened?
Yeah,
to that?
and they have a video of them doing it live in a studio. And he had a sore throat or something. Spencer had like a sore throat or something, and he still killed it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these guys are nuts. Like they're very good, but like, yeah, with longer songs like that, it's
you
if you're
definitely
gonna write like half a record like that, like that's where I'm like, oh man, there's just too much.
Yeah, you got to be in the mood for it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so yeah, go. I'll try and remember to leave the stuff in the show notes for those songs, for y'all to go check out on the. If you're watching this after the fact, obviously we're doing it live. We can't, but yeah, that's the first ever.
Yep.
That's the first podcast, man.
We did it.
I know we've literally been talking about doing this for like Literally like 7 months.
6-7 months, yeah.
And we had it on the
Yeah.
calendar to start like twice, and we didn't. Thankfully we didn't announce it and make ourselves look like
Yeah.
fools. But yeah, I'm happy to finally be doing this, man. It's so
I think
cool.
we
Yeah, it's
actually
cool.
did announce it, and then like we didn't follow.
We announced that we were doing a podcast. We didn't announce a start date.
Yeah.
Was the thing.
Yes.
I made
Thank God.
sure to like very much so like keep that in check to make sure we were actually doing it. But yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm excited to do this, and I'm excited to get into different mediums and have, you know, different things to do with music. I do feel like that's one of the blessings of the current day music landscape, is having all these different things that as a band you can do. It's work to do it, but I feel like it's very rewarding because it's all very connected to your fan base.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
So
Keeps the brain fresh too. For me,
Yeah.
it keeps me from, like I was telling you guys earlier, it's a distraction from my distractions. You know, it's a good distraction. It's a good, like, I like keeping in touch with you guys and like sharing ideas and just whatever, hanging out, laughing, whatever. You guys know I love to do that. FYI,
yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of that on this thing.
There's
So-
going to be some bullshit, that's for sure.
I mean,
Facts don't care about your feelings, but I care about your feelings.
Well, maybe.
I do. How you feeling? This turned into a therapy session.
Yeah. Bleeding
Alright.
Sun.
Getting real with Ken Real.
Yeah.
But before we go from like a melodic metal band to joining the cancel core group, let's end this thing.
All right. Thanks, guys. Popping by.